You are watching T Radio V, radio in TV.
You're hungry and you need a place to stay. Look into the eyes of the angel on the streets and just hold on tight.
Hello and welcome to the Street Angel Show here in Hollywood at T Radio V. I'm Mandelyn Reese. I'm known as the Street Angel or the LA Street Angel, and I have angel wings that I wear with posters front and back. And I promote kindness as my primary and positive messages of hope and patience, peace, faith, gratitude, all sorts of random posters that I come out with, but it's just to send positive vibes out into the universe. So I've devoted this show here in the heart of Hollywood to helping others, giving advice and enlightenment and spirituality and all sorts of cool topics. And today's topic is how to be a goddess. So yeah, and I have a guest today named Alorah Inanna, and then we're gonna have a second guest on the second half of the show. So welcome, Alorah. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, cool, because my earphones are broke. I don't hear nothing. or my mic, or I don't know, something isn't coming through. Or maybe I'm not hearing myself on my mic. But anyways, so I wanted to ask you, you're a modern day goddess, right? And
I've been living my life as the goddess for about 25 years. So
yeah, cool. Well, what spurred this?
what spurred this? Close to
Oh yeah, close to mic.
Okay.
You can pull it closer to the table.
It felt very stationary. Okay, good. There. That's better. Is that good? Hopefully.
There. Okay, I hope so.
Okay, good. Well, what spurred it is that in the late 80s, I was introduced to a shamanic medicine that is now coming into the LA at least, and really into America in a big way. It's coming in a way that's being respected and even legalized. It's been ridiculous.
I was going to say, I don't hear anything. Okay, we're having a technical difficulty, so hold on a second, people. Microphone is not working. I thought something was weird. I was like, I don't hear.
So this is going to have to drop down, and you're not going to see my
Today has been weird. We need a restart. All right.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, so.
we're going to check it real quick.
Okay.
And here, turn this thingy to the face of the camera. There you go.
Okay.
Oh, I can hear you. Okay, pull it just a little closer to you, and there you go. I think that'll work.
All right.
Okay, so you've been a goddess for 25 years,
That's right.
and
Actually, I would say, well, at least maybe more like 27.
27.
So in 1988, I was a married woman, a mother and a wife and a business owner, and I was more conscious than most people because my husband and I had done something called the S training in the early 70s actually, and we'd met that way, and we had created our relationship in a very conscious way, and we were extremely happy with each other. And at the same time, when you've been married for 8 years or something, change starts happening in the relationship, and we started experiencing that change, and we began to ask the question, what is it that makes relationships contract, and how do you create a relationship that continuously expands?
What kind of changes were you noticing after
Well, in retrospect, we called it ego reduction and spiritual awakening. So my belief is that in our lives, all of us will go out in the world and, go for our goals, and we'll achieve them at some level. But usually something comes along that is a challenging process, and that process is really a call to spiritual awakening. So in our case, everything we had done had worked. We'd built a business that was successful. We had wonderful children and a darling house and all the things that people wanted, and a deep, beautiful love. And then things started not working. Like the business we'd sold, the man stopped paying us for it. And there actually was my husband was the head of a yacht club committee, and a woman who was on the committee. There was something karmic between them, and a relationship began between them. So there were things starting to happen in the relationship that were not, when you have a relationship where finances become challenging and where there's another person that enters the relationship and that's challenging, those are like the major challenges,
Shifts.
really, of relationship. And in that time, someone who knew us said, "We think you should meet Jack." And we said, "Who's Jack?" And they said, "Jack's a shaman." Well, in those days, nobody even heard that word. Nobody knew the
Right.
word shaman at all.
Or they'll hear it and they don't really know what it means.
No, I mean, this was 26 years ago. Nobody knew it
Right.
at all.
Right.
And they said he works with something called ayahuasca. And we were like, what's that? Well,
It's a cactus, right?
No, it's not a cactus. It is a combination of a root and a vine that are chopped and pounded and boiled together and prayed over, and they are the primary medicine of the Amazon that the shamans in the Amazon use to guide their people spiritually and heal people.
Is there one made from cactus, though?
There is something made from cactus.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
I was
but it's
like, I
not
know.
this.
Okay, so it's something else.
So I was someone who had never done anything like that. I used marijuana, but I wasn't somebody who had done things with LSD or anything like that. So it was a very big jump for me to be willing to open myself to this as a medicine. But I really was impressed by the man, Jack. When we met him, he was a different kind of a guy. I'd never met a man that I couldn't charm, and I couldn't charm him. Not that he was rude to me, he just didn't buy it, he just didn't interact with my
Goddess energy.
well, I didn't have
charm.
goddess energy. I was just doing my normal, what women
Flirt.
do stuff.
Okay.
And so anyway, we did that. And in the experience, both of our lives changed forever, completely forever. What I call the goddess of green poured into me. It was a divine feminine being who was completely green, this color. She had jewels all over her, and she had no attention on the jewels, and she was the most beautiful, loving, exquisite, feminine being I'd ever experienced. And we worked with this shaman for 2 years, and 3 different times that being came to me, and I finally realized this isn't a dream figure, this is a real being. And basically I could feel her rewiring not just her, I felt a team of psychic surgeons sort of rewiring my brain. And I believe that I was redesigned, really, and that the energy of that goddess came into me and is resident in me.
Can I tell how, with you, when I first moved to LA and started my angel project, Alorah was one of the first people I met. I think my first 2 weeks into doing my angel project, I was introduced to her, and she introduced me to the goddess wrap dresses. That was the first thing she pulled out was her wrap, and she wrapped me in it, and I was like, this energy of the goddess just enveloped me, and I was like, I have to have this dress. And it was this perfect, it fit me perfect. It was like this, the shape and the cut of it, because they're all different lengths and stuff, but it was this beautiful teal blue. Anyway, so she wrapped me in it, and that was my introduction to the divine feminine. And I had, coming from conservative Texas, a religious background, I had no exposure to like a more divine feminine approach to life. And so Alorah kind of gave me these baby steps into that. So you have a temple and a temple being, it's a Marina Del Rey gloriously decorated apartment, and it radiates goddessness inside, the decor, the plants, the paintings, the drapings. You want to talk about what you do there? And
Well, it is a temple that's just a long block from the beach. And one of the things that I do a lot is something called wind dancing. And for me, it's a way, I use this silk, this is why I sort of have this on me right now.
Yeah, we
is
have
to
pictures of
show
that. Mm-hmm.
the experience that there is.
Ooh, see? Pretty.
Oh, that's so
that's
beautiful.
my favorite
Good.
picture.
Yeah,
of
I
you.
know that was taken by a woman who just happened to see me down at the beach and asked me if she could
Wow.
take pictures, and she turned out to be this amazing photographer from Canada, Nikki Harrison.
Yeah, that's your background wall at your temple.
At my temple, and
Yeah.
so this is about how do you be a goddess. That's what you said is the topic, right?
Mhm.
Really. Well, the very first thing is you have to begin to perceive yourself that way, and that's the value of dressing in archetypal goddess wraps, because when we wear clothes that are sewn by machines and are structured, we put ourselves in the industrial age. We put ourselves in a world where time equals money and fashion changes constantly, and you're always comparing and competing who's got the newest and the best and the most expensive, and it is a world that separates people. When you wear a wrap, when you wrap yourself in a wrap, you all of a sudden become timeless. You look like an ancient goddess, and so you can do your wrap individually, and yours can be different. We'll look different, but we'll also look unified, and we can support each other. In other words, if you're wearing a sewn dress, and I am too, all I can do is look and try and see if yours is better or
Right.
whatever. But if we're both wearing wraps, and you've wrapped yours one way and I've wrapped mine another, we can go, how'd you do that? And so it promotes sisterhood, it promotes
Confident,
archetypal
yeah.
kind of, you see yourself. Took me a long time to go out in the world that way, but at home, I wore these clothes, and they are more comfortable by miles than jeans and T-shirts with belts and things like that. So when you're in a goddess wrap, you're basically naked, but you're not.
And I bought a bunch of different colors, and we have pictures of me where I've gone out and promoted basically the dresses and the look, and so I think we sent some of those pictures in. But yeah, it's like I went to a bunch of red carpet events in these dresses.
And you always got acknowledged, didn't you? You always got attention, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
in general, with the posters, people are
always do
always
that
kind of
anyway, yeah,
curious. They're
yeah.
like, but then it would definitely set me apart in a unique way because no one else is dressed like this, in the Hollywood scene.
It's an amazing thing. Just today I'm walking from the bank to CVS, and a woman is driving by in a car, maybe a middle-aged black woman in a car, and her window's down, and she just yells out the door at me, "I love your dress." People love this, and hopefully someday I'll get my act together so that it's more available to people and
Have like an online store or something.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
just haven't really wanted to be a businesswoman. I really want to be the
teach.
divine feminine presence, and so it's more important to me that I stay in that energy than that I'm
Yeah.
worrying about filling orders.
So the services you do,
Uh-huh.
you teach women, you wrap them in the dress, you teach them how to be more confident and embody the archetype, and you also do services for the divine masculine men,
I do.
workshops.
Well, we have a lot of attention on the divine feminine and the goddess movement that's growing, but just as important is for men to awaken to their divine masculine nature and step into what I call their mythic man. So one of the things that I do in front of that temple wall hanging is I get men out of their regular clothing and I drape them.
And they look good in it.
They look so
Like
good.
Roman gods,
It's immediate. In fact, I say that everybody is basically in drag all the time. Like, when I take girls in jeans and T-shirts and take a before picture of them, and then, 5 minutes later they're in a goddess wrap and they look amazing.
Elegant. So
Elegant.
graceful.
And I worked with
beautiful.
these two teens one time. They were like 15 and 14. And one was really thin, and she had lots of self-image issues. And one was not heavy, but she had big breasts, which made her look heavy. So both of them just were crying afterwards because they had such a experience of themselves, such a profound, beautiful, affirming experience of themselves. And so men, it's the same thing. And what's fun about wrapping men in the toga is that you can do it in the same color you're wearing. So if you're wearing If I'm wearing green and I drape him in green, all of a sudden we're a mythic pair. And that is archetypal. So in this whole world of how are we going to keep love alive, how are we going to have mythic loves? You know, everybody wants to live happily ever after, and nobody's succeeding. And what I know is that anything you want to be really good at, first of all, there's somebody to watch who's good. They teach you what they know, and then you practice, right? So in love, sex, and intimacy, we have nobody to watch who's real. Very few people teaching what they know, and nobody even thinking about practice.
And there's still a lot of shame and guilt all around sexuality.
Well, the practice that I'm saying is a great thing to do is take, you know, like on Sunday mornings, we used to have an unconscious practice, which was that families got dressed up and they went to church. And even though it was boring and uninteresting and not really an experience of spirituality for the most part, at least they did something together as a family, and at least they dressed up. So what I'd like to do is elevate that and say, okay, Sunday mornings, we go mythic. Mom gets dressed as a goddess, Dad gets dressed as a god,
I like that.
Kids get dressed in their little outfits, and we do rituals and we be together in a conscious spiritual way, and that is a part of the kind of practices. So that works for families, but even in a budding romance, if instead of going out in the world to seek some kind of pleasure, like go to a movie, go to a concert, go to a bar or a dinner, whatever, don't do that. Go mythic. Create a world in your own space and get out of your regular clothes. Go mythic. Practice the mythic love practices that I teach, and you'll have a different relationship.
Right.
So for me, it is important for all of us to really recognize that the more truthful self of us is our mythic self. We are here having a human experience, but we are divine truly, and if we begin to feel that divinity and see that divinity and be that divinity, most of the time we'll have different relationships and we'll have a different life.
There's something I wanted to kind of go back and ask you about. You said when you were married about 8 years or something.
We were married 21 years.
But at about the 8-year mark.
About 8 years,
You said he started seeing another woman.
That's right.
And I like the way you worded it. You said it was almost like it was a natural phenomenon, almost like you were understanding, or I'm sure at the time was it weird?
Well, it's my husband had been my husband had told me when we were getting together in our relationship, he said to me, "Don't fall in love with me." He said, "I'm always going to have ladies." So that was not welcome news at the moment, right? But
he was honest.
He was honest. And I went away and thought about that for 3 days, and I thought, what am I going to do about this? Am I going to, this man who I totally love, I love everything about him, I love our sexuality was like something neither one of us has ever experienced before. Am I throwing all that away because of this one thing? And I realized that he had a condition that was not accepted by society, but was true for him. I had a condition that was accepted, but was just as difficult for him. I wanted to get married, and he had been married. He didn't ever want to get married again. So for him, overcoming my desire to get married was just as challenging as me overcoming him saying he was always going to have ladies.
So, what is the condition?
Well, that was his condition. He
polyamorous?
No, he just
basically
knew himself. He knew that he was a man, at least up to that point, who was always going to have ladies in his life. And so what I did was I thought about it for 3 days, and I went back to him and I said, look, I can't imagine why you'd want to have sex with anybody else given our sexuality. But if that shows up, I will take it on. I'll expand to include it. And I don't mean I'll suffer and tolerate it. I will get the value out of it. So we had set that up in our relationship.
In the beginning.
In the beginning.
Wow, that's really powerful.
But here's what actually happened. In that time of doing ayahuasca, because by then, see, I said, oh, I'll expand to include sex with somebody else, but I didn't say I'd expand to include love with somebody else. That was a much bigger issue. So in our experience with relationship, because we ended up teaching a relationship course until my husband died. We taught a course called The Mind of Love, and it really came out of the growth we went through this process. So I totally honor and appreciate, it was a spiritual process. When I saw a picture of the woman my husband, and I got to acknowledge my husband, he never took his love away, he never took his desire away. I never felt...
From you.
Yeah, from me. He wasn't out seeking anything. It happened. She showed up in a meeting. She was in his life for the rest of his life, so it was karmic. And I just had to learn that it didn't mean anything about me that he could love another person. And, you know, we expect our children not to make it mean anything about them, that we can love somebody else. And yet we don't realize that that's possible in our relationships. So really the work I did there grew me up so hugely. I could talk about it for a very long time.
I know. I wish we had the whole show. I didn't know it was going to go like this. But the last thing I wanted to touch, did we show the picture of me wind dancing earlier? I can't remember if you went through it. But anyway, she does wind dancing and workshops. And how can people get a hold of you? Tell us your contact information.
Right now, go to thegoddessalive.com, and you'll learn everything we're doing at our temple. We're opening the temple on Wednesdays and Saturdays to women to come for an afternoon and be in the energy of the temple, be at the beach, feed your feminine spirit at the temple. So thegoddessalive.com, and you can send emails to Alorah, A-L-O-R-A-H, at thegoddessalive.com.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, we got to go to commercial and then bring in our second guest, so stay with us, and we'll be back to continue the conversation about goddess and spirituality and all sorts of cool stuff. So be right back to the Street Angel Show in Hollywood. Thanks.
LA Street Angel, giving everything, holding up your side for the world to see.
You are watching T Radio V, radio in TV.
LA Street Angel.
Hi, this is Mandelyn Reese, the LA Street Angel, and I have my talk show here in the middle of Hollywood. So come hang out with me, learn some awesome new cool spiritual stuff, and it's every Thursday, 1 o'clock Pacific time, tradiov.com.
LA Street Angel, called to heal these streets. LA Street Angel, called to heal these streets. Wipe away the dust with your sacred wings.
Hello, and welcome to the Street Angel Show here in the heart of Hollywood. I'm Mandelyn Reese, and I promote kindness. I got my wings I go out with everywhere, so that's me. And today's topic, we're talking about how to be a goddess and, you know, other spiritual things that just come into the conversation. And we were talking to Alorah last show, and now last segment. So this segment, we're going to be talking to my friend Athena StarSeed. She's over here to my left. How you doing?
Hi. So great to be on the show. Thank you so much for having me.
You made it. I know it was like, woo, traffic like thing. So, yay, you're here. I love the colors.
Oh, thank you.
You look
Thank
great.
you. I love pink. It's unconditional love. So
Yes.
I've been working on some heart issues and bringing love and unconditional light into my life.
And I love that you promote that a lot. And we actually have a song that we wanted to kind of introduce you with. That now, I don't know which one they're going to play, so just let's go with it and then we'll talk about it.
It's called Supreme Grace Light.
Okay.
And yeah.
Because I sent him 2 songs.
Yeah. This one's...
Sonic devotion to the Almighty Supreme Grace Light, the creator of the cosmos from which all existence is born. Bless us with the remembrance of infinity, so we are continually connected to the celestial realms. Color our souls with a kaleidoscope of transcendent sound that leads us into the vibration of selfless service to all creation. Soak us in the divine essence of our I Am existence, while bathing us in the almighty oneness of everlasting remembrance, kissing our consciousness into the ineffable splendor of thy beauty, and transmuting all karmic ignorance and suffering into the greatest gifts of grace. Through the light of a billion burning suns, may the divine grace within each of us shine as brightly as the morning stars. Purify us and guide our life path from the woundedness of adversity to the wisdom of why this present moment is our gift. May we ever presently meditate on the glory of the Supreme Grace Light, who is the embodiment of all knowledge and all wisdom. May the Supreme Grace Light open our hearts and pierce our souls and enlighten our intellect.
May the light of God bless you.
Hari perum jyoti, tani perum karune. Hari perum jyoti, tani perum
Blessings rain down from the heavenly high in the center of the universe, from where your birth took place and the origin of the original species, coming down in omnipresent colors. Rainbow bodies of light swirling through infinity, just to remember you and me are just part of one cosmic theme. And that's love. And that's love. And that's love. And that's love. Tani perum jyoti, tani perum karone, tani perum jyoti, tani perum karone, tani perum jyoti, tani perum.
Well, that was really beautiful and magical, mystical. So yeah, that was Athena's song. What's it called again?
Supreme Grace Light.
And that's up for a Global Peace Song Award if you vote for it, which I voted for you last night.
Thank you.
I went on the website, I signed up, and I voted, so go vote.
Thank
and
you.
What's that website that, I think I sent the link for that, but.
Yeah, it's underneath that video. If you go to Supreme Grace Light on YouTube, any of you guys who want to vote on that, right underneath of it, there's a link. You can just click the link and you can vote.
So yeah, the topic of the day is how to be a goddess. You definitely showed a lot of goddess images, and I really loved it when you were all decked out in your feathery and like makeup dots and like really beautiful stuff. So what do you want to say about that, or your song, or whatever you want to talk about?
Well, basically, I started communicating with angels when I was about 3 and 4. And I used to look up at the stars, and I would get transmissions. And I felt like that they communicated to me that we are born, each and every one of us, with a golden gift inside of our heart chakra. And that's our purpose and our path. And that gift is wrapped in all of these yummy talents. And some are singing, and some are dancing, and some is kindness, like what you do, and compassion. And they're inscribed on our heart chakra. And we kind of, through life, get expanded joy hits when we go towards our passion. Like Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss. So the angels would download me with information on where to go and who to talk to and what to do next. And so my mission is to sing the world into heaven on earth. And so I use mantras. So I used 3 or 4 mantras in that one song. And the main mantra is called the Gayatri mantra, which is like a goddess mantra. What it does is it burns off all illusion of ego and separation consciousness, and it pulls you into the presence of your goddess consciousness, which is where you're omnipresent, and you can see everyone as a spark of God. And in that light, we can start actually interfacing with each other. And if I know that God lives within you and Goddess lives within you, and that an aspect of me is also omnipresent, then actually I know how to communicate and to serve you. And this means like going out like you're doing, and you're gifting people books, or I like to go out and I like to feed people in Venice. I also like to inspire people to do their dreams and encourage them and blow light like a fairy on their wishes and their hopes. And this song, if you sing it every day or just listen to it and watch the images, it washes over you that golden light. And what happens is your own rainbow, your own internal rainbow starts to open up. And that's what Jesus talked about. You'll do greater things than these. And I believe that harmonics can shift us from separation consciousness into God consciousness, goddess consciousness, and that shows that we're all unified.
Yeah, that was a really great song, and I saw what you meant because that was my first time seeing that video. I listened to the song when I was researching this, but I didn't see the video, so it's like getting to watch it on the screen for the first time. I was like, wow, that's really well put together. It's very beautiful. The images, it's very spiritual. It awakens, your consciousness more. And I think it's so cool. So something else that you had mentioned, I think it was your website or Facebook or somewhere, you said being a mother is like really a goddess experience. You had a child.
Absolutely. And I'd like to share a magical story if I can.
Go ahead.
I had been off and on fasting for the last 7 years. So I went through a huge eat, pray, love transformation. I went from living in a multi-million-dollar estate in Toluca Lake with 2 guest houses and a gated property to losing my home and then going to Bali and fasting in the jungle for 9 days. And the universe went completely white. And I had been praying to see the Divine Mother. And as soon as I came back to the States after that trip, I was woken up at 3 a.m. and I had an encounter with a goddess in the dream time. She was wearing all white, and we were standing on top of like a cathedral with these big, huge columns with no roof. And she took a silver pitcher and she poured milk all over my head. and told me to record the dream. So I woke up and I wrote it down, and 2 weeks later I found out I was pregnant.
Whoa.
And what she was saying to me is, to know the divine mother, to know the divine goddess, you must become mother. And in becoming mother, you will learn what goddess does. And goddess gathers, and goddess serves, and goddess feeds, and goddess nurtures. And to be a mother was something that actually had me enter into a portal of omnipresence, because after my child was born, they laid her on my breast, and I looked down at my baby and I just started crying, and all of a sudden I saw myself as an infant. And then when she was 1, I saw myself at 1, and then at 2, and at 3, and at
like
4.
that unconditional love and acceptance.
Well, not only that, but I was almost re-raising myself through all of those ages. And I was actually telepathically communicating to my little tiny self, my inner child, out pictured into the holographic field of reality as my daughter, what I would want to re-mother myself. And so we have to, at some point when we grow up into the wisdom sage archetype, we have to really parent ourselves, and we have to goddess and grace ourselves with that divine mother. And that's what I learned through being a mom.
Right. And that relates, like, loving yourself unconditionally, accepting
Right.
yourself unconditionally, knowing that you deserve love, you deserve happiness, you deserve good things. Get it on the inside of yourself and your mind and your heart. And it can be a daily challenge. I know it is for me. I go through that all the time. I'm like, I know who doesn't have self-worth issues around here. It's like, it's kind of a process. And the better you get at it, the more that it's manifested and reflected to you in your physical reality.
Well,
You know?
I would love to do a little self-love right now if you're open to it.
Okay.
So if we can just put our hands on our heart, anybody who is watching, put your hands on your heart and send yourself that love. Like right now, just take a minute and inhale and exhale and send yourself self-love, like a pink, indigo, violet light in your heart, and send yourself that love. You know, when my daughter ever sees me frustrated, she says, "Mommy, blue skies in, gray skies out."
Oh, that's
And that's
cute.
the wisdom of a 5-year-old. And so when I was becoming a mother, I didn't really have a great example of a mom. My mom got pregnant at 18, and she had 5 kids, and it was very challenging. And so I had to learn how to be a mother. And my examples were Mary Poppins and Mother Teresa and Amaji the Hugging Saint. And I had to, like, I did research, and I would watch Mary Poppins, and I would sing to my daughter. And what I realized is that those children come in and they have chosen their parents, and they actually allow us to become, through the initiation of motherhood or fatherhood or parenting, those God archetypes that serve and love all.
I want to share like a quick story. I went to this Shakti festival, which is a spiritual festival in Joshua Tree. And they had this huge room that they did this sound bath and meditation. And everybody, it was so packed in there, but somehow hundreds of people crammed in. We all were laying on the floor, and they're doing this sound bath. And while I was experiencing this thing, I had this mystical experience of, I finally understood Mother Teresa, like where she came from and why she did what she did. I realized that we were all these wounded children on the floor crying and recovering. And I was like, oh my God, I get it now. And it's like, we're supposed to take care of each other.
We
are
are.
children. We're related. We're like brethren. It's like, for that split, divine, beautiful moment, it's like I really got it, and it stayed with me.
You know, I want to recommend a very incredible film I just watched. It's called The Spiritual Laws of Eternity. The Spiritual Laws of Eternity. And it talks about these kids going into a museum to see Edison, who was an inventor, and he invented something called the spirit phone. And so what the kid did when he looked at the invention is he started getting downloads psychically, and Edison came to him and said, "Finish my invention." So he did. And in the movie, it takes you to all the heavenly dimensions, and you go to the angelic dimension where you constantly bless and thank everyone. And to be an angel, they talk about angels never expect anything in return. They gift because they have the thoughts of God. And beyond the angel dimension is the God dimension. And the God dimension gives and creates an omnipresence and doesn't have a favorite. So like Mother Teresa, all the children of the world are her children. Like Amaji, when you become an avatar, you're thinking those God-conscious, goddess-conscious thoughts. All of the children are your children to hug, not just your own children.
Yeah, exactly. And like I pictured, Mother Teresa would be down at Skid Row and she would be hugging everybody. And it's like I've wanted to do that. And I did go down to Skid Row a few times and I've handed out food and a carload of donations. But there's a certain amount of fear as a human, angel embodiment as a human going down there. I'm not uncomfortable going by myself.
I'll go with you.
Yeah.
I'll go with you.
Like, it's good to go in a group just for your own human comfort level. But, they're wounded children that in need of love and care and to feel like people care about them. And so it's like, I got it. But there was something else I wanted to go on about.
Well, I wanted to mention something really quick before we change the topic is going down to feed people. I have a series on YouTube called Raising Reverence. And it's not just about raising my daughter, but it's about actually raising the vibration in my own body. And one of the things I do is feed people. So there's a couple episodes where I go to the 99-cent store, I get a bunch of food, not only for the one person I'm going to gift it to, but I'm going to ask them to also feed people. So you see this episode of me bringing 35 bag lunches and picking one angel on the earth that I call home free, not homeless, because the earth is our home. And I want to keep the language high and mighty. And that we can all do that. So check out Raising Reverence on YouTube with Athena StarSeed, and you'll be able to see how to raise your own reverence.
Reverence is her daughter's name, which is such a beautiful name. That way you can understand the link that she's talking about. But how do people get a hold of you? What's your websites and stuff in case people want to reach out?
It is light, L-I-T-E, body, B-O-D-Y, fitness.com. And it's basically a lifestyle. I believe in eating the colors of the rainbow, raw food, organic food, locally grown, a kindness diet. I'm a vegetarian, and I believe that the animals are our brothers and sisters, so I don't eat them. And it's no judgment. It's just a vibration of thoughts that I think, because I can feel the animals, and I'm communicating constantly with the birds and the squirrels and the fish. And so yeah, lightbodyfitness.com, and also Raising Reverence. But I would like to share something with all the starseeds out there that are making a transition from the regular matrix and their mainstream jobs into their dharma, their heart purpose, why they're on the earth. If they go to Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com, /Athena StarSeed, they can see that I have a site there that actually supports my Raising Reverence series and my music and my mantras and just communicating the lifestyle that we can all share. And I want to encourage everybody to get on patreon.com and start their own site and then patronize people that they believe, let's say, for example, you, that are doing good in the world, and they can donate every month $1 to your cause so that you can go out and be a street angel and support yourself.
I do have one sponsor who's given me $1 pledge, so
Yay!
Hey, it's a progress, it's a start, right? So anyway, we got to wrap up the show. Thank you, Athena, for sharing your beautiful song and your wisdom.
Thank you so much.
Next week we're gonna have 2 more singers who have really amazing messages. Okay, I guess we have 3 minutes, but but anyway, call to action is to do a meditation to get in touch with your inner child and do some reflection and healing work on your past and give yourself some self-love. That is your call to action. There's plenty of free YouTube meditations you can do. Just Google that, meditation on inner child or self-healing. There's a ton to choose from. So any last words for the show?
I just want to say that I was watching your video series and I just really started crying. As soon as I saw you, I met you like 4 years ago at Kim Hicks's Green Fire Temple where I used to channel.
Can we go out with that song that I sent? The Dream with Me? Okay. So,
and I just want you to know that I admire you and I believe you are an earth angel, and I want to let you know that there are angels in the city of Los Angeles, and she is definitely one of them. And if this inspires anybody to get out there and do that angelic work, we love you and we support you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It means a lot to me. Okay, I want to show one last video of Athena and Alorah together. Athena's singing and Alorah's dancing, and it's just so beautiful. It's called Dream With Me. You got to listen to the lyrics and just see how beautiful it is. Thank you for watching the Street Angel Show. I'll see you next week. Watch the show.
I am your mother, father. I am your sister. dawn tide. LA street angel, giving everything and holding up your side for the world to see.
You are watching T Radio V, Radio and TV.